And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and Game Source. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our great shows. And if you can, please give us that 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do whatever it is that you can to support us right here at the Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, of course, the folks at LakersBall.com. Go ahead and check out Joe Soro, aka Ox1947, today at LakersBall.com. Plus, of course, everyone at Lakerholics.com, including Jamie Sweet, aka Yami Swoot, and his 5 Things articles right there for you. And the number one Lakers blogger that's out there, LakerTom. Go ahead and check out his latest article today and be part of the conversation right there at Lakerholics.com. Plus, our good friends at the Hoopheads Podcast Network, always give them a shout out at hoopheadspod.com. And if you can go ahead and subscribe right below Joe, you can do it. I have faith in you. Go ahead and subscribe today on YouTube so you can go ahead and get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. I almost feel like ending this show so we don't have to go through this misery, but we promised we would go ahead and vent together. We would promise we would go ahead and bond together, provide that therapy you need right here at the Lakers Fast Break, because once again, the Lakers have started their season, a season that after a disappointing exhibition season of 5 games where they went 1-4. It seemed like the naysayers were saying, it's just the exhibition season. And as Joe Soro texted me earlier this evening, that is definitely not the case, because the Lakers, after a somewhat competitive first quarter where they actually played pretty good defense against the Golden State Warriors after they picked up their rings, I should say. Unfortunately, it looks like, as Petting My Cat says, 1-9 in their first 19 games. Actually, their first 10 games. You're probably saying 1-18 after their first 19 games. I don't think it'll be that bad, but after they picked up their rings and got off to a sluggish start, the Golden State Warriors in the second quarter, and then especially in the third quarter, kicked it into high gear and pulled away from the Lakers. And even a 27-12 run couldn't get the Lakers back within 10, as they just pretty much cruised by the Los Angeles Lakers as the Golden State Warriors won with a definitive 123-109 victory. The Lakers, again, started off hustling, good effort, very good defense to start off the game. It all fell apart from there. The backcourt defense was horrendous after the first quarter. Anybody who can tell me differently has got not watching the game that we saw, because of all the back cuts that were done against the Lakers. Austin Reeves was turning his head right and left. Unfortunately, Stephen Curry was beating him on cut after cut. Russell Westbrook, a lot of people, we're going to talk about this today because it was a tale of the two halves. Actually, it was a tale of 2.5 quarters and 1.5 quarter. 2.5 quarters that were pretty good and 1.5 quarters that were pretty bad by Russell Westbrook. So I know there's going to be a lot of discussion for that. But I'll go ahead and start with the positives. And it starts with Russell Westbrook with 19 points and 11 rebounds. Again, 2.5 quarters of pretty good play. It's going to get a lot of people talking about how people are defending Russ out there. They're going to go ahead and make sure that he gets his say as far as possibly seeing him through and saying, we told you so. But then there are others like Joe, LakerTom, and myself that may point out the air ball that was thrown 3 feet beyond what it needed to go. And then also the turnovers and the missteps on defense in that third quarter. We can also show you that as a microcosm of why maybe Russell Westbrook might be on his way out of Los Angeles. But overall, again, 19 points, 11 rebounds. So we got to give him credit for that. LeBron James doing LeBron James things. 31 points, 14 rebounds, 8 assists. I don't know how much you can ask for more from this guy, especially at his age. He just tried to do what he can. 5 turnovers, maybe a little cut that down. But then again, him getting 5 turnovers and Russell Westbrook getting 4 turnovers is going to be par for the course because of how much they handle the ball during the course of the season. Anthony Davis chipped in with 27. 6 rebounds, 4 steals, 2 block shots, and actually in the first quarter looked like he was going to be a very big time defensive stalwart for the Lakers, but unfortunately he can't do it alone. 10 for 22, 0 for 3 from three-point land. Not that good there, but again, he's not a three-point shooter per se. In fact, the team as a whole, 25% from the three-point area. Also as well, want to note that Kendrick Nunn, he did shoot well, 3 for 6 from three-point, 5 for 9 overall for 13 points. But after that, there was this deep chasm of lack of productivity from everyone else. No one else got above 5 points for the Lakers after Kendrick Nunn. So with that kind of I guess, a chasm between effective to non-effective players, the Lakers unfortunately do not have the depth to match a team like Golden State, especially in those second and third quarters. And here today to talk about the game, first man up, first man here. He's back indeed. It is the mastermind behind Lakerholics.com. It is LakerTom and LakerTom. You and I and Joe Soro were texting each other during the course of the game. I would love to hear a word back from Playback TV so we could actually show our consumers this during the live course of the game. But your thoughts on this? I know instantly we talk about how Darvin Ham's plan looked good for 12 minutes, but unfortunately they play 36 more minutes, unfortunately.
Well, the truth of the matter is that the Lakers are exactly what everybody feared they were going to be. Um, a team where LeBron and AD, as long as they were healthy, would have stretches that looked pretty good, but a team that sorely lacked outside shooting, three-point shooting, that sorely lacked backups for both of the forward positions, and basically a team that had gone through training camp and found out that neither one of the two young centers that they'd signed were capable of being starters. So the whole roster has just been tossed into a turmoil because the Lakers can't decide what they really want to do with respect to a trade.
And
They're still out there. They're still out there hoping for, Bradley Beal to suddenly demand to be traded, or Damian Lillard to demand to be traded to the Lakers, and thinking that somehow they can take Russell Westbrook and 2 unprotected draft picks and somehow turn that into a third superstar, which is totally the wrong way to build this team with LeBron and AD, because you don't want to take touches away from them. You want to give them players that will contribute. And tonight we saw, Westbrook is going to get his numbers regardless of how they come or what the costs are. And it's just all fool's gold. None, I thought, played fairly well, made some shots and so forth. But everybody in the starting lineup was, -8, -10. Davis was -21, worst on the team, actually. And at times, didn't look like the dynamo that used to be unstoppable when he was a New Orleans Pelican. So, there's concerns, I think, about the entire situation that the Lakers are in. And it's like everything has been so predictable that this was a team that couldn't shoot. And, they fell in this big hole and they couldn't shoot. By the time they started hitting shots, it was too late. And then, then the Warriors showed them exactly why they're my pick to win the championship again, because, man, they have several shooters who are basically unconscious shooters who can basically drop 4 or 5 threes on you in an instant. And that ability to rain threes is something that is going to be haunting on this team. And, we need Buddy Hield. We need Miles Turner. We need probably another wing. We definitely need the team to be active on the trade market. And we can already tell that waiting to see what happens, and using, for example, if you wait till the trade deadline, you're going to give up 2/3 of the season. At the rate this team is going, they're probably going to, the 2/3 of the season, that's like 55 games. So at 55 games, they might very well be 20-35. That you're not even going to get a chance to make the playoffs at that situation. So this team can't wait anymore. They need to make a trade, and they need if they don't do that, they're basically writing off this year completely. And I can't believe that that's going to be something acceptable, and that LeBron James is going to play the whole year for the glory of taking the record from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for the most points scored in a career in the NBA. He's going to be content with that. Um, the Lakers, the Lakers have a trade that they can make with the Pacers. It's not going to make them the favorite to win a championship, but it's going to put them in the picture where they're basically going to go out and be able to win games. The way it stands now, the Lakers are ranked 19th out of 30 teams. That means that there are 18 teams that are probably going to beat the Lakers when we play them, and 11 teams where we might have a chance to get a win because they're tanking teams and so forth. But when you go through the record of those 55 games until the trade deadline, the Lakers end up playing 32-43. They just can't get a better record than what they had last year with this particular roster, and that's even assuming that they remain healthy. So they need better players. You really basically, other than Walker and Beverly, you don't have guys on the team who really are making those salaries of over $10 million. We've only got one guy, which is Beverly, and he may be one of the main trade chips that we have as we get toward the trade deadline. But the Lakers need to do something because this is a very sad situation that they're in, and it's not going to get any better. They're not going to learn anything more if you wait, until December 15th or January or February 9th to make a trade. You're going to be giving up the entire season and just betting everything on next year. And if you're going to do that, then maybe you might as well just wait and let Russ expire and tear White up the entire season, and hope that you can sign Draymond Green as a free agent next summer, and then hope that is enough to be a third player that that you can put together a bunch of other free agents that are going to take minimum salaries and so forth, and you can make a championship challenge out of that. This hoping for the next third superstar to come, Kyrie Irving or Bradley Beal or Damian Lillard, I think is just such a foolish route to take. Such a cop out instead of making a decision to really go out and pick up a couple of elite role players in their particular roles that could have made the Lakers a contending team. Maybe they'll still do that. That's the only hope I have. But history doesn't give you a lot of confidence that they're going to make the right decision.
Once again, it's LakerTom. Please go ahead and check out his latest article today at Lakerholics.com. And now I don't agree with Tom, and I haven't for months on this. I don't think the Hield Turner combo will move the needle, especially in a game like this. You see, there's still, even with those guys, I don't think they would even still come close to winning the game. But yes, it would make the Lakers more competitive, but I don't think it moves them that far up. But you know what? There's a debate going on that. So, you might as well go ahead. It's better than the alternative because this is the alternative right now that we're experiencing. We saw, as far as the defense, especially in the backcourt, deteriorate over the course of the second, third, and fourth quarters. Kendrick Nunn, who actually shot well, as I mentioned, 13 points. He actually shot well. The only one who shot well from behind the arc, unfortunately, was terrible on the defensive end. Austin Reeves got beaten several times on back cuts. The Lakers do need a lot of help as far as on the defensive end, and hopefully Miles Turner, if they do get him, will probably help with that. And then, of course, the shooting is one of the worst shooting teams in the league as they represented tonight. Maybe Buddy Hield could go ahead and if he's picked up in an acquisition, can go ahead and help the team they're in. But here today is to share his thoughts on today's game or lack thereof. Is a good man indeed. You got to go ahead and check out what he's doing today as Ox1947 at LakersBall.com. Plus, go ahead if you need your lawn just transformed into something beautiful. If you're in the Southern California area, go ahead and check out what he's doing today at sinblades.com. Sinblades with the Y, LakerTom.com. It is Joe Soro. And Joe, again, just pretty much what you've been saying, what Tom has been saying, that this team is all about. This roster, again, is the depth is just not there. A lot of problems all around. The defensive schemes, as was noted to be by Nick and others during the course of the game, was just terrible. The starting lineup, as noted by a lot of people, is cause for concern. Things are not looking good, but then again, we saw this coming for quite some time.
The preseason gave you an idea of what they were going to be. I stood by that because I've watched enough games in my life to know the tenor of the team. Darvin Ham is going to be a Frank Vogel redux.
That's
Yes.
what was emailed to me. That those exact same words.
Yes, because he has no viable offense that he can implement. There is no accountability from the coach to the players. The talent is lackluster, but at the same time, when your talent is lackluster, you could at least get effort. And if you have somewhat of a system that can show something, you especially when you still have two stars on your team, you should be able to stay competitive in a team that only plays 5 players at a time. And this doesn't look like there is any enthusiasm, there is any focus on being good. They look like they don't know what they're doing. They look like they're just running around playing YMCA ball. And this is supposed to be a professional basketball team. The Warriors were playing on a night that I don't know when the hell that damn ring ceremony was going to end. Their brains, it was like a 45-minute just love fest of themselves, which I'm sitting there, I'm thinking the game's going to start at maybe 7:15. Game didn't start till 7:40. That was a disgrace by TNT and the Warriors. I don't give a flying rat's behind about the damn ring ceremony for the Golden State Warriors. Why were they showing this? Why don't they just cut to the crew? Well, I can hear them. I'd rather hear them talk. So even through all that distraction, they still came out there half asleep, and then finally they sort of woke up in the fourth and started making every shot they threw up while I was throwing up. So it's just I can get really aggressive, or I can just sit here and look depressed, sound depressed. I don't want people to argue with me when I know I'm right. When I know I'm right, and unfortunately, most of the time I am, because I focus on the details. I focus on the littlest things, because a lot of this stuff is mental too. I mentioned this on our text message, Gerald, and these little things matter. If you want to see how my brain works, I'm going to tell you right now how my brain works. So a few months ago, I know it might seem mundane and you might not think as an observer that it matters, but it does. So Austin Reeves is this young player that really showed up his rookie year. And in the NBA, when you play well as a rookie, that usually means you're going to play well in your career, especially when you weren't a high draft pick or a draft pick at all. Especially playing on a team like the LA Lakers with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. So there was an instance where his nickname became a discussion. And he came out with this, I don't want to associate myself with this name because of the issues around it. And to me, the fact that he's thinking about something like that tells me that he's not focused on getting better in basketball. He's focused on saying the right things to make certain people happy. And one of the things I've learned in my adult life is making people happy. The only people you should make happy are your family and your friends, and hopefully the people who bust their butt for you in your business. Other than that, everyone else can kick dirt and eat it. because they don't give a flying rat's behind about you or your family or your friends most of the time. Sounds cynical, sounds jaded. It's not. I am not a cynical man. I am not jaded. I do give everyone a shot at the beginning. I don't just go into any situation and say, you know what, I'm just going to say that you suck and I don't even know who you are. No, it's after assessing the situation before I start getting angry or letting you know what's going on. I've been telling you guys, this is a problem when you're not taking care of the details. You're not playing well in practice. You definitely didn't play well in preseason. These are the most important times to prep, and you can see it while they're playing. Don't tell me these things don't matter. It matters. It matters when it doesn't matter, because if you focus that when it doesn't matter, it will work when it matters. That's how it works. Go ask Michael Jordan. God rest his soul. If you would ask Kobe Bryant, he would have told you the same thing. Ask Magic Johnson. Ask Kareem. Ask Worthy. These guys used to say Pat Riley's practices were more brutal than the games. Why were they so great? Because the games became easy because they prepared and they cared when it didn't matter.
There's also the matter of talent.
It is. It's there. However,
I mean, there's an unequal balance of talent. You're going up against the Warriors, who are the NBA champions, who have continuity from the last 3 or 4 years, the last 8 years, if you want to go back that far, for 4 championships in 8 years. They have the kind of continuity that a team like the Lakers doesn't have.
Do they
have only 3 players from last year?
This is a whole brand new team from the previous 3 championships. This is a whole
and part of that is the fault of the front office for foolishly making bad decisions about personnel moves for 3 years in a row now. And it's obvious from the way that this team is playing that they still have not solved that problem. They've gone a great way toward making the team younger and more active, except at the center position. And they've done, and they have had opportunities to trade Russell Westbrook for players who would dramatically improve the team, but they haven't taken advantage of those because they're waiting. And the longer they wait, the more the chance is that we're going to lose this season, or any remote chance that we have right now of being able to come back and become a competitive team. But you have to start building at some point. You can't just say, we're going to wipe out this season, get rid of everybody, and then bring back an entirely new roster again next year because we have some cap space and so forth. I mean, go out and make a trade for some guys who make sense, sign them, get them locked up for a couple of years, and then go out and with a core of 4 players who are really elite players, and you can put out a starting lineup to compete with anybody in the league. And then let's see what a healthy LeBron James and Anthony Davis can bring us. Because right now we don't know. Right now it's too early, and this team is too undermanned to be able to go out there and do anything except lose. And that's what we're going to see. We'll see a few occasional games where LeBron and AD will go off and we'll win. Out of the first 10 games, 4 of them are against teams that we should win. Teams that are ranked below us in the NBA rankings, power rankings. In the first 27 games, it's only like 11 games. And it goes on like that, where basically we're going to lose, 4 out of every 7 games, just because there are more teams that are better than us than we are. And that record is going to continue to hang around those percentages. We're going to be a team that's going to be between 35 and 40 wins. That's going to be our ceiling, is probably 45 wins as we're presently constructed, which means we're going to lose more games than we're going to win, or we're going to be close to 500 team at best. We have to make moves, and it just becomes more obvious every game. And otherwise, you just continue to poison any opportunity that you're going to be able to have a rookie head coach have a successful first season. We're talking now about damage that can be done to the franchise that would have long-term effects with the relationship with LeBron, the relationship with Clutch, the relationship with Anthony Davis, everything that's all related to the success that we've had with LeBron or James over the last 4 years. So The Lakers have basically supposedly made their bed and agreed that they're going to go out there and do what they can do to make the team better, including trading those 2 picks. They just need to go out and do it, because if they continue to wait, it's just going to mean
I'm
fewer
not
and fewer
trading.
opportunities.
I'm not trading unprotected picks for what I'm not that's not guaranteed in any way.
It doesn't move the needle far enough, Tom.
No,
That's why.
I'm not
I
gonna.
disagree with that. I disagree with that 100%.
I'm not gonna trade for a guy who doesn't play a full season all the time, and a guy that's inept on defense, which is a major issue on this team. It doesn't play defense, and it has 22 turnovers. You want to talk about not having enough talent? You're right on that. But 22 turnovers, and when you hear your own leader say, "Well, we're just trying to tinker at things during the preseason," those are bad signs. Those are bad signs that they have no idea what the hell they're doing. There's no identity. There's no identity. At least if they were just missing
talent, there's just
if they
not
were
enough
just missing
talent to win
shots, it was
games.
one thing. But well, I mean, I'd like to think that Kendrick Nunn has some talent. I'd like to think that Patrick Beverley can bring some veteran leadership here. You have AD that's playing well. You have LeBron who's playing well. You know what? Again, you have 5 guys playing at once. This is not a football team where your offensive line stinks and your quarterback can't get any time. You can understand when that doesn't work out, or if your defense can't stop anybody. But these guys are playing with 5 guys at a time, and there's just way too many of the normal things that keep happening, which is not enough effort, not enough smart basketball, and not even a semblance of any kind of offensive imagination.
I didn't see a problem with the effort tonight. I thought that, for example, coming back in late in the 3rd quarter and early in the 4th quarter, I thought the Lakers did a good job of making it a game.
That's because Golden State took the foot off the gas.
Well, of course, everybody takes the foot off the gas when you get ahead. It's just human nature. Show me a situation where that doesn't
fold
happen.
in the 3rd quarter like they always do. They
folded in the 4th quarter when the Warriors shot lights out and they nailed like
that, and to some degree you can't help. Some people get on fire. They're making shots,
Well, we weren't playing the Kings, believe me. We weren't playing the Kings or the Magic or the Pistons or the 11 teams out there that we probably are going to be favorites when we play. We're going to get our shots at those guys, and if we can beat those guys and maybe steal a win here or there from other people, we can have a mediumly respectable record. But it's not going to happen with the team we got now, because the team is incorrectly constructed. It's not finished. It's not a finished product. It's a product that demands 2 or 3 higher quality rotation players to be Russell Westbrook to be swapped, and those picks to be swapped for 2 or 3 rotation players that have become the 3rd, 4th, and 5th best players on the team. That's what we need to do.
I think Rob Pelinka has bigger problems than the talent on the team. I think he doesn't have a lot of respect out there. I think people are trying to stonewall the Lakers, and that's something where Jeannie needed to make a decision on is this something that's going to work? Because if the league doesn't want to work with this guy, how are we ever going to get any kind of deal that's going to work? You give him an extension for doing
everybody's just trying to get the best deal that they can, and basically they're just going to wait Pelinka out.
Well, the season's shot, guys. They're not going to do anything this year, and Hield and Turner would have to play 75 to 80 games for them to even make a dent, and even then, where's your depth?
That is your depth, because all of a sudden you got 5 starters that are starters, and you got rid of 2 or 3 guys who used to be your backups in the rotation who are eliminated and never play anymore.
But what does that do? But if you only have a starting 5 like that, and then you have nothing else behind them, that's not going to help you. That's where the good teams beat you.
Take 2 guys that are starting right now and they become reserves. So your reserves immediately get better because you get rid of 2 guys who are reserves who are now replaced by the guys who used to be starters. I mean, you're talking about bringing in 3. Should bring in 3 players for the amount of money that you're trading out for Russ. An even trade would bring back 3 players who would probably be the 3rd, 4th, and 5th best players on the team.
Well, right now, okay, if they were to bring in Hield and Turner, you're talking about a team right now with the Lakers that would maybe a 9th or 10th at best seed right now, the way they played tonight. That would move them up to what? A 7th, a 6th
Sixth,
seed?
I think they'd be 6th or 5th.
That's worth
They'd have a
throwing
shot
away
at-
your
If
future?
they're healthy.
That's
Yeah,
worth
if they're
throwing away
healthy,
your
they'd have a
future?
real shot at being 5th or 6th. They
That's
would miss
throwing
the play-in tournament. They could even have a home court advantage in certain situations. Basically, though, that they would have a team that had players that really helped LeBron and AD become better and more efficient. They'd have great shooting. I mean, Hill basically is a guy who takes 10 threes a game and makes 4 threes a game. We don't have anybody like that. We had Matt Ryan for one preseason game who went off, but we don't have a shooter that teams are afraid of, who can go out and hit 6 or 7, 8 threes in a game and win a game for you. And we don't have a starting quality center, so that AD, who even talking in the third person says, Darvin Ham knows that AD doesn't like to play AD wants to play the 4, but I'll play the 5 if I have to. He doesn't want to play the 5, man. Come on. You need to let guys be what they want to be and play what they want to play, because that's what you do with stars.
But I just want to clarify this, and I know we have before. You're talking about giving up your future, 2 of your first-round picks in the future, for what you essentially said is a 5th or 6th
2 picks that basically I think will end up being picks in the high 20s.
or after LeBron and AD are gone, could be in the.
Well, if we manage the team well and make the transition, then we won't.
You'll see, I have little faith in that after what we've been doing.
But you have to bet on that. You can't bet on.
Or 13.
Listen, do you think the Warriors bet that if we invest in this new arena that we might not win the championship and then fans might not come? No, they're betting on the ability that they've had in the past to create championships and to win championships. And the Lakers have a record of that. They have a lot of advantages despite their archaic family-run business structure and their reliance upon this network of previous people who have Laker connections.
But do you realize
they have a lot of advantages that give them opportunities that other teams don't have, that make up for a lot of that. So they can leave championships on the table, and they've left championships on the table before because of mismanagement and because of not taking an advantage of situations. But they need to make a change. They need to make the right move. They need to make that trade.
And I agree with you. None of us are disagreeing with you.
They're not capable of making the right trade. They're not capable of.
I'm afraid of that. That's probably what I'm most afraid of.
We are starting to get to that Al Davis before he passed culture, Jerry Jones's culture since 1996, where the stubbornness, and I can even say this for my team in the MLB as well, there's this inability to really get at the heart of the issues on what's going on in 2022, not 2020, not 1998, not 2013. Today, you have to be adaptable at all times, especially when you're dealing with more technology and more of the changing culture of whatever's going on. The Lakers are they are not going to succeed unless they have some kind of an identity. I've said this probably 50 times already. They don't have an identity. They have AD and they have LeBron, and they think that can kind of be what they are, but it's not. LeBron is starting to look like an empty statter right now. He's getting 30 and 12 and whatever, but it's just not it's not meaning anything in the game. AD to some degree can bring some positiveness during the game where there's some domination for a very short amount of time, but once he gets out, it's kind of back to square one. It's just not a. This is a different world.
What you would like them to have, Joe?
I want them to get over this season and then really assess.
How about defense first identity?
Well, it's going to come down to effort.
The best
And
shot blocker in the country, in the NBA, having the best front court in the NBA defensively, getting an anchor so that you've got guys who can't be played off the floor like Rudy Gobert can be at the end of a game. Miles Turner can't be played off the floor. Anthony Davis can't be played off the floor. LeBron James can't be played off the floor. You want to build an identity, then you have to make a commitment to something. And that's what Pelinka and his crew of idiots can't seem to do, which is they cannot seem to make a commitment that we're going to build this kind of team.
Well, they hired
a young coach who wants to play that way, who wants a starting center who can shoot threes, who wants the defensive team.
Wanting it and then executing it. Then don't say as a head coach that we're going to be focused on defense, and then your defense isn't. Well, again, effort, talent doesn't matter.
But judge him when you're getting a bunch of guys that he's been given, most of whom are minimum salary players.
Okay, so you sacrifice what could be a devastating future for a guy that's played 42 games and 47 games in the last 2 years, and then you're hoping that Buddy Hield can be your shooter, enough shooting to make things honest a little. I don't know if I could risk that at this moment. I mean, I guess I'd take it if it happened, but I just my gut feeling says it's not a good deal. I think you ride the season, you just deal with the fact that it's going to be a dead season, and then really try to focus on building the team.
Yeah, but you're not in a better position.
And you don't get Draymond Green, by the way. Draymond Green looked like a sack of used burlap today. I think he's done. I think he's checked out. I think his ability's gone.
It's awful lot to judge on one game, man.
Oh, I'm not judging from one game. I was judging from last year during the deep playoff run. He looked not very well.
Yeah, well, I think that you'd find,
and we don't need another.
I think you'd find 29 out of the general manager.
We don't
jump into the opportunity.
We don't need another. We don't need another almost mid 30 player that's going to take up $20 to $30 million in cap space. Lakers are going to have to really figure out how they're going to spread that money that's available to create what you want them to be, what they want to create. Which these days, three and D guys are all $30 and $35 million a year players. I don't know what the hell they're going to do.
I'm just going to say this. I'm going to interject this, and respectfully, Tom. Again, this is the debate and that's what I love about the fact is that you feel one way, Joe feels another, I feel another. I think as far as the debate on whether or not we should go ahead and trade these picks, how far a Buddy Hield, Miles Turner team can take the team in a positive direction, and if we have enough faith in front office, I could just say since the Lakers won their title in 2010, that the team is 5-7. 5 winning seasons, 7 losing seasons. Yes, they did win a championship. I will give them that. But 7 losing seasons means a lot of futility for this team and for its fans. This is something where you're banking on, if you give away those 27 and 29 picks, that the Lakers will somehow manage to go ahead and competently build a team during those years.
I think that's the only chance they have, because not doing it guarantees that if you don't do it, and if you don't trade Russ, you realize that you're going to end the year with no tradable contracts.
And you've said that, and I agree with you.
You won't be able to trade anybody. All you can do is sign one player for $30 million.
But if you give up those draft picks, again, you're counting on as a Lakers
draft picks. You can't give up the draft picks because you can't.
I'm saying if you give up
Westbrook, because you can't attach a player to cover the salary.
I'm talking about if you do your deal. If you do your deal with Hield and Turner, and you throw in the draft picks, you're counting on the Lakers front office in those years of 27, 28, and 29 to build a team off of one first-round draft pick for all 3 of those seasons right now, as it stands, to competently build a team during those years. And this is the front office that currently right now stands.
Have 28 and 30. They still have 26. And
that's why I said 27, 24.
They have 4 draft picks.
No, Tom,
picks.
You didn't hear what I said. I said 27, 28, and 29. Between those years, if you trade 2 of those picks away, you'll only have 1 first rounder for all 3 of those years. I said that. Trying to clear that out. Now, you're asking the front office to
Yeah, but
build.
we also got one in 24. We got one in
understand.
25.
But it's also
We have four first round draft picks in the next 6 years.
New Orleans has the right to swap, though, I believe in 24, if I'm not mistaken.
No more compounding the terrible decision of Westbrook onto the future. There is no way I'm doing it.
But you're basing it off. What I'm trying to say is you're basing it off a front
Everything-
office right now that has a
You don't
very
realize that
sketchy.
if you don't trade Westbrook, you are screwed.
Oh, for
Because
this
you
season,
cannot
we're not
you
disagreeing
cannot
with
do
you.
anything. You cannot trade anybody.
We're
You
not
cannot trade for
disagreeing with
anybody.
you. We're not disagreeing with you there. But we're also not
you can
disagreeing.
trade Westbrook,
That
but do not
screwing
trade.
applies to next year.
I'm not giving up
only
two
this year.
unprotected first round picks. I'm not. I can't. Not when
How are you
Rob
gonna- you can't use
Pelinka.
those unprotected first
Rob
round picks?
Pelinka is contracted till 2026. That means if this thing consistently stays the way it's going with him, that means we're going to be dog crap by 2026, and then we have a first round pick in 2027 after LeBron is retired or gone wherever for his kid, and AD
If
is
you think
wherever.
we're going to be crap, you don't want to give up picks that aren't going to be, that are basically going to be 26 to 30 picks.
I don't think we're going to be that
You
good.
either bet on
26.
yourself and believe in yourself, or you fold the tent.
I do. I would say I would believe in myself if you were getting adequate return. You're not getting.
And we're not trying to
return.
argue with you, Tom. We're just trying to discuss this out. We're not trying
No,
to
you're
argue.
not discussing it. You're not even considering what I'm saying.
We are considering what you're saying.
No, you're not. Bullshit.
No, there's no way
Come on,
I'm compounding this
You're making a
terrible
judgment that in
decision
your
on
judgment,
to the
those
future.
two players aren't enough to make a winning situation. Neither
It's
one.
got to
of you
be
believes that,
someone
so
of significance.
That's where we are.
It's got to be a Clyde Drexler
Nothing more
getting
to
traded
discuss.
at the deadline that ends up helping the Houston Rockets win a title. I can't hedge my bet on a guy who has only played. You're going to hedge your bet on two bigs
Russell
that have only
Westbrook
played
and two
40
picks.
games the last 2 years.
You're not going to get anybody who's perfect for Russell Westbrook and 2 picks.
Then
You're
you
just
can't make
kidding
that
yourself.
trade. You can't.
You're
Not
kidding
unprotected.
yourself.
I would send out. I would be willing to bargain an eight protected. 8. Get it. Then at least the lottery protected. Or heck, top 5, I guess. At that point, top 5 I'll do, but I can't give out 2 unprotected
You can probably
picks.
get the second pick. You can probably get protection on the second pick.
And that would
You
be
might
okay.
be able to even get a swap on the second pick.
And that would be something more agreeable to, I think, what Joe and I are talking about. That's all we're asking is that, again, I don't think it moves the team far enough to where you think it moves the team far enough. Okay. But I don't.
But
If
you
they
have
do
to
make
move the
trade,
team. You have
it
to move
does-
somehow.
it does
You
make the
cannot
team more
stay where you
competitive.
are.
We're not disagreeing with you on that. It does make the team more competitive, but the way you're phrasing it is that it makes the team into an automatic championship contender, and I don't think it does. And I still think you have a serious problem with depth on this team. This team has a dearth of talent as far as just there's nothing there after what players number 3 or 4. It's just basically
You need to trade Russ for 3 rotation players. You need 3 more players.
and I agree with you on that.
To kick the whole
110%.
lineup down the road. Get
I
rid
agree
of 3
with you.
guys that are starters now with 3 better starters. Move those 3 starters that used to be starters and make them the backups, and then take 3 guys who used to be in the rotation and sit them at the end of the bench and never play them.
And I'm not disagreeing with you there. If we can find a trade where we can find 3 rotational players.
If
Well, what is
Jif.
Yeah.
I'm getting hungry for some peanut butter now with the GIFs.
Well, LakerTom, I think you got so angry at us, you kind of muted on yourself. So I do apologize for that. It got turned back on. I think
On the last show, I talked about George Washington Duke and how let's stop talking fantasy, let's talk reality. The
LakerTom is already.
The bottom line is we have to lick our wounds, understand that we are not going to benefit in any way this year unless we get really lucky, and that there is a demand by someone relevant, and I don't even know who that would be. We've talked about Lillard, we've talked about Bradley Beal, but with these contracts going the way they're going, I don't know if anybody's ever going to be disgruntled again. These guys are getting paid $50, $60 million a year. I think they're feeling pretty comfortable by the teams giving them that.
And the contracts are only going to get sweeter after the TV deal is done.
Yeah, I don't know how you would pay somebody $60 million a year and know that you're not going to do jack squat. But I guess part of the collective bargaining agreement is promising players that they're going to get this kind of money.
But can we all agree that the change needs to be made and needs to be made sooner?
Well, I don't think there's an argument on change. It's how you're going to do it. And there is a massive hole in all the options. The hole, if you don't do anything, is we're going to lose this year. The other thing is, if we do make a trade, you're extending the Luol Deng contract into the late 2000s, and you will hate yourself, because if you look back on in the past, the Utah Jazz and the Cleveland Cavaliers did stuff like that, and they ended up losing on Magic Johnson and James Worthy, which benefited the Lakers. That's the kind of stuff you could be risking, all because you couldn't wait 6 months. Look, LeBron is going to break Kareem's record. LeBron already won a title in LA. AD's already won a title at every level. It's not that catastrophic. I'm thinking about the Lakers. I'm not really thinking about LeBron and AD to an extent. I don't want to lose out on something in the late 2000s, especially with the way this thing is being run. At some point, there's going to have to be a change if it continues, and I think Jeannie will do that. But I don't want to risk. I don't want to come back and go, God, that Russell Westbrook thing really jacked us. It jacked us last year, and it'll jack us this year, and then it'll be over. And Tom is right about the contract thing. That is probably the one thing that's really bothering me, is the fact that,
they
we're
have
going to have
nothing outside of Beverly.
Yeah. I don't even know how that will work in the offseason. But what else can you do? What else can be done? You can't trade.
You have to give away your future, Joe. LakerTom is telling you that you have to give away your future in order to go ahead and try and.
You don't have to give away your future. What you have to do is understand that building a team takes additions of players who are going to be able to be contributors, rotation players, legitimate rotation players. If we can trade Westbrook for 3 legitimate rotation players, even if that doesn't make us a championship team, it's the move we have to make in order to build a stability and a continuity in a roster where you've got guys on contracts for 2 or 3 years so that they can become part of a team. They can actually learn how their other players play. They can actually develop some chemistry, some camaraderie with their teammates. We need to start building a team that way. And we need to take Russell Westbrook's $47 million and break it into 3 contracts. Those 3 contracts will be easier to move once we get to next summer. They will give us some flexibility. Some of them could be expiring contracts so that we could still have some cap space. But we need to do something to improve the core people that we have on the team that can be counted upon to fill the 8 or 9 rotation spots you need to be a legitimate contender. And if we don't do anything toward filling that out, then that is like the worst decision that we could have made, because we'll find ourselves handicapped and unable to make a trade next summer. We'll have 3 draft picks and we won't be able to trade them for anybody because we won't be able to match salaries.
The silver lining on this, Joe, is that if we go to LakerTom's route and we do trade those 2 draft picks and it doesn't get to where we needed to go as far as Heald and also as well Turner, and it doesn't get to where we needed to go as far as the team in a competitive spot high enough that's going to get us in a championship race or anything of that nature, you at least have AD playing well enough that he could be attractive, that you could trade him at the end or the season, or even, at the trade deadline, and you could try and recoup some of that back. Is that something that you may want to look at later on, Tom?
This is where Tom is right, and I've been thinking about this too.
And I'm thinking about it too.
The other side of it is, this is the test year for whether or not Anthony Davis is the guy to take the baton. Because if he can't take it this year, if he can't play enough games this year, if he can't be good enough this year, if he can't be dominant, if he can't be better than LeBron this year, then we have to find somebody else to lead the team and go forward in the future.
Well,
We can't
can we
waste
find that
another
out by
year. We can't
February?
waste a second year waiting for AD to be able to play more than 40 games.
I'm gonna give you.
Can't we wait?
I'm gonna.
How about by February? Would we know by February?
I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna give you.
If he gets injured, we'd know by February.
We
Yeah,
were
that's
talking about Kyrie Irving during the summer, right? There was a lot of talk of him coming. The most intriguing part about that whole situation was what else would have come with him, and there was a lot of excitement, at least on my end.
They had to add a guard to match.
So I was excited about Seth Curry and Joe Harris, right?
Right.
Now, when you look at Joe Harris, he's almost a $20 million a year player. You have Kyrie, who's making 37. You have Seth Curry, who's great bench type, player. You now have a viable team, right? A viable set of players that are.
But please note, Joe, that Seth and Joe they're a couple weeks away from getting on the court.
Correct.
At this point.
Correct. At that point, I'd rather take a chance on that than.
And to note everybody else, I want to add this in. Thomas Bryant, he did have surgery on his thumb.
Yeah.
So
So we got two guys out. Too bad. 2 thumbs down guys, man.
So what happens there is now you've got some contracts that go beyond this season. So if something were to happen this summer, you have some money that can be traded.
Well, Kyrie's an expiring contract. Harris has 2 years on his contract, but the second year is only partially guaranteed. I think like $14 million. So you'd lose $14 million of your cap space, of the 35 cap space that they're trying to save.
But you'd have the talent to justify the trade. Now,
I don't know. To me, I look at Hield and Turner, or Hield and Harris or Seth as pretty much the same thing. They're all 3 guys that are going to shoot 8 to 10 threes a game. And they're exactly what you want because they shoot 40%. They're the guys that nobody's going to leave in the corner. You want to play 4-on-4? All you have to do is park one of those 3 guys in the corner and you can play 4-on-4 the rest of the game. That's a big advantage to play 4-on-4 rather than 5-on-5. It just changes the entire game.
I think the amazing part of this, I didn't anticipate trading KCP and Kuzma and all the fillers for. I didn't realize how important those guys were to this team. It's mind-boggling to me how the right role players, how important they are. I've always known they were important, but
let's just put it this way: if the Warriors don't win this year, it's going to speak a lot about Gary Payton and Otto Porter.
Right.
If they don't win this year, that's all I'll say.
Gary Payton was probably the second most important player on that team last year.
At certain times,
he shut down the other team's best player, man.
And Otto Porter hit some clutch threes for them.
Yeah.
So.
I think
the thing about the Warriors though is it's so infuriating to me to be here in Northern California. I mean, I've lost 2 of my granddaughters who were Laker fans and now Warrior fans, and my son is now a Warriors fan. Only my grandson is the last hold-on Laker fan I've been able to hold on to, and it's because they do everything the way that we should be doing it. And that's so infuriating, I mean, how could they find Poole? I mean, how can they find a guy who's probably the closest thing to another Steph Curry, It's just impossible to look at that situation. And Wiggins is just, they've made probably, if you were to take 10 major decisions that the Lakers have made in the last 2 or 3 years, and you compared it to 10 major decisions that the Warriors have made in the last 2 or 3 years, the Lakers are probably like 3 out of 9, 3 out of 10, and the Warriors are probably like 7 or 8 out of 10.
I think you have to give credit to Steve Kerr and the 2 stars on that team. They are inspirational to. They are they are the Tim Duncans of this era. In terms of not only their talent, maybe not talent all the way, but you know what I mean. Their importance and then also their team concept and their allowance to play in every facet of this thing in a team manner. It does matter that kind of environment gives confidence to a young player and a player that might be kind of at the edge, maybe. You know, I mean, Poole was a 26th overall pick. You know, no one that good should drop to 26, but maybe they have something to do with it. And
I mean, he was like the top free throw shooter in the league last year.
Yeah.
They got three guys who shoot 90% from free throw line.
And then you look at the Spurs. I mean, they're doing what the Spurs are doing. I think that's what Steve Kerr's kind of brought to it. And then I believe a lot of the people that are in Golden State are influenced by, I think Pop. Pop was a coach and I don't know if he was an executive in Golden State. So I think they kind of share the same philosophy on how to build teams over there. They nurture well. They support well. Their system makes a difference, and of course, having two superstars that are as good as Clay and Steph, and then of course you have Draymond Green.
They drafted these guys.
We've been drafting well too. We've been developing guys.
We didn't draft LeBron. We didn't draft AD. You know, they drafted Curry. They drafted Thompson. They drafted Draymond Green.
Yeah,
they drafted Poole. They drafted all of these guys. You know, I mean, Wiggins they didn't draft. That was when they got traded.
Well, the thing was, you saw Wiggins in that third quarter. They realized that Russell Westbrook was getting a little bit hot. He was getting a little bit active. He was becoming successful. He was getting a little bit, very confident in himself. And they put Wiggins on him for that third quarter and shut him down.
Yeah.
Wiggins, he didn't get anything until late in the fourth quarter. Yeah, I
think Richard makes a good point.
That's a great deal that they got him on. 109 for 4 years.
Richard made a good point. He
took a discount to stay there.
You look at the trail that Jerry West has laid out since he left LA, and I believe it was 2001. He went to Memphis as a consultant, and they ended up making the playoffs, I believe, 3 years in a row. They didn't do well, but who knew that the Grizzlies would be capable of going to 3 playoff appearances, right?
He should have chosen Jerry over Phil.
I don't know if that's the right case either, because Phil did make a difference on the 3-peat team.
Yeah,
they needed that coach.
But still, that's why we lost Jerry, man.
But what they had a chance to bring him back and they didn't, and then he went on to go to Golden State and helped create what's going on right now, and also what's going on in LA with the Clippers. This stuff, Jerry West is a god in basketball in every facet of this thing, and it's just the respect thing, the stupid antics that they've done is really, if they didn't have these stupid antics, I probably wouldn't be as vicious as I am against them, because they're very petty. And that show we watched on Hulu was like an absolute confirmation of what they've always been. This petty, I want this, I want that, I want notoriety, I want the control, just nonsense that children do. These are grown adults doing it. They don't bring back a guy that wanted to come back. His son was doing really well here. They let him go. Why would you let go of Ryan? Oh, we don't want them to, go back to his dad and do stuff. I'm like, really? Really? You've known Jerry West for 40 years, and the most professional man you probably have ever known in your life, and you're worried about that. You're taking away season tickets and sending his wife a text message. You didn't have the balls to call him yourself and tell him, hey, we're going to take your tickets away. These are the marks. These are the marks, guys. These tell you who you are. These things tell you who you are.
This is the deadly triangle for Joe Soro. Okay. The Chris Paul trade is numero uno. The Jerry West fiasco is number 2. And the PPP loan is a close number 3. And the PPP loan is a big one with me too. I'm just going to leave it. And the Jerry West thing too. They're both
I'm going to bed, guys.
All right. Well, LakerTom,
I've debated those too many times.
Too bad. I don't think you should go to bed, Tom, because we have 40 people on.
This is one of our highest marks ever. So once again, the Lakers do unfortunately lose in their season opener. Unfortunately, it's 123 to 109. We'll wrap things up here in the next few minutes, but just close out. I mean, the next game we're going to see is against the Clippers at home on Friday. on Thursday, and it's going to be at 7:00. And of course, we'll be here right after the game around 9:30. So I want to ask you this though, Tom, before we head on out. And again, I truly appreciate everyone watching. We're getting some big numbers for us, and we truly appreciate it and cannot thank you enough for taking time out of your day to watch us here at the Lakers Fast Break. But when you see this overall, you know that there's more that needs to be done. We're not disagreeing with you on that. But is there anything in the interim that they can tweak or fix? Because, if Nunn comes in, yes, he can shoot well, but his defense, you saw tonight, was so bad, was so porous. The same thing with Reeves. The same thing with so many other parts as far as the game. If they do well on one end, they do extremely poor on the other. Is there any little things or fixes that maybe Darvin Ham could look into before Thursday night's game against the Clippers?
Well, I think a lot of it, and unfortunately, playing the Clippers is not going to be the same solution as, let's say, playing the Kings or playing the Blazers or playing the Magic or a team that we could match up better against. Playing the Clippers is going to be very difficult, and we're going to run into the same situation that they have the players that can play big or small. They're a very deep team, so it's likely going to be a very unpleasant experience for us playing the Clippers. As to what the team can do, one thing, this team basically is going to be one of those teams that are going to play probably as well as they shoot. If they're hitting their threes, they'll have it. If they have the confidence and they're hitting their threes and so forth, I think that they can be competitive. I think that they have a chance then to blow out teams that they're better than. And I think they have a chance to upset some of the teams that are ranked above them. But they need to have a great game by LeBron and AD. And I don't think either one of LeBron or AD had great games tonight. They both had negative plus minuses. I mean, AD was minus 20, over minus 20. LeBron minus 9. Those are not, one thing we've always had, even during the bad times, is LeBron James has a positive net rating. He has a positive plus minus when he plays. He didn't in this particular game. And AD didn't either. And I thought AD really looked tired as the game went on. He was short on a lot of inside shots and moves and so forth. And he didn't look dominant. He didn't look dominant at all.
He had that one stretch early on, but after that, like you said, it was kind of declining return.
And it's, he missed a lot of free throws tonight too, so the shot wasn't there. He missed his threes.
Well, that's not surprising.
Determined to shoot him, I mean, were there good plays? Were there good plays made at times? I do think that we've seen a lot of, one thing that they did good tonight is they won the points in the paint by over 20 points. So that was a big concern because last year, whenever we went small, we had real problems with points in the paint and reboundings. Tonight, we matched them with rebounding, and we won the points in the paint by a substantial margin. We lost the fast break points by 10 points, and we lost I think we lost the free throw battle by 10 points.
We lost the bench points. Yeah.
Our best
turnovers.
Our best offense when we were winning, even in 2021, was fast break points.
Yep. And we didn't really push the ball. We didn't push the ball enough in this particular situation, and the Warriors pushed the ball against us a lot.
May I say one thing though about the style of play, and the fact that both the winners tonight, both Boston and Golden State, did score above 120 points, and how actually I enjoy that aspect of it. I think the take foul being removed is a little bit
it's a big.
So the flow of play and the amount of offense we may be seeing may be a little bit better, which is always a good thing for the sport. Always a good thing. That's just my 2 cents. Just my 2 cents right there. But Joe,
there were times when there were a couple of moves that Walker made that impressed me. AD made some good moves early in the game. Man, the Warriors just have so much shooting that it's really hard, and the Clippers have a lot of shooting too. I mean, we're not going to win when we give up 7 threes. We lost the differential by 3-point shooting differential by 7. They made 7 more threes than we did. It's 21 points, man. That's the game basically right there.
What they 1 of 11 at one point in the beginning of the game.
We were horrible. We finished like 25%, but and it's this. If we could add Heald and another shooter, and I'd love McConnell as a third player to balance it off. If we could get Turner, Heald, and McConnell, I think that would really strengthen the team dramatically. McConnell's an outstanding defender and backup point guard. But I don't see, any other deal coming along. Geez, I find it hard to feel like it makes sense. If Kyrie were all of a sudden available.
I love my Atlanta trade. I'm just going to say I think that's the best trade. But then again, Atlanta's a team that's eyeing a playoff run. If they do go into tank mode, then maybe look for them to go ahead and start selling off some of their assets. But
I know. How many games do we play before we decide that, is it 20? Is it 27? Or is it, 55? We wait till February 9th. We've all played 55 games by then.
Well, I agree with you. I mean, that's what I mentioned to Richard now, and I think everybody out there. It looks so easy for the Warriors to run their offense, and it looks so difficult for the Lakers to run theirs.
It's a continuity thing, man. I mean, it's no different from going to anybody who's played a lot of pickup basketball, man. You always have your 3 buddies that you go to the gym with, and you call next, and you know that once you get on the court, you're going to win a good number of games in a row. And it comes. You always have a huge advantage over any other team that's just been put together for the day because you played with each other, so you know where guys like the ball, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and that makes such a difference, especially when you're playing with intelligent players, like LeBron James. The Warriors, they have the advantage of not only having played together but also having very intelligent players and a general scheme on offense and defense that really requires teams playing together. I still think that there were major things that the Lakers did this offseason that, to me, are franchise-altering situations. I think the hiring of Darvin Ham, the decision to go with a modern 3-point center, assuming that they hopefully will do that by trading for Turner, the decision to modernize the offense and to bring in shooters, although they haven't backed up the decision with actual actions yet. And I'm hoping that they can still do that and be able to fulfill the aspirations of what they were building a lineup for. They've done everything except do the last thing. Trade Westbrook for 3 rotation players. You get 3 rotation players that all of a sudden shove back everybody else, and your rotation is dramatically better. Until we do that, it's going to be a sad time for Laker fans.
Joe, I wanted to go ahead and end with this show on something that Richard said during our chat. And first off, I want to go ahead, and you guys have just been sensational again. We have the best chat room of any Lakers YouTube channel out there. And we've got new subscribers right and left since we started this show. And you guys are just absolutely awesome. And I truly appreciate you taking the time out of your evening to go ahead and let us know that you appreciate what we do here at the Lakers Fast Break. Again, some big numbers for us. We truly cannot thank you enough. Joe, but before we head on out, I wanted to go ahead and hit you something that Richard mentioned. He was asking us a question. If Magic was still here guiding the team, would we be in a different place right now?
No, because Magic
Another 3 superstar guy.
Magic, unfortunately, is a walking billboard. He's not a executive type.
I agree with you, both of you on that. I just think that it would be very top heavy, but again, you would still have.
He signed off on the Muscala Zubats trade, and that was his send off, and that would have bothered me. That would have bothered me if I was in Rob's position. I would have said, "What the hell are you doing?" And we still haven't really gotten over that. We could have definitely used Zubac with this team. He's not the best center in the league, but he was really, really better than what we have now. This thing needs to be run by a Bob Myers type. That's the kind of guy you need running this. Someone who's gonna go Jerry West in his prime. Someone who's actually going to go places and look at talent and assess the situation and talk to people and create a reputation. And people love Jerry West. This whole thing with Jerry West, the only time I heard anything negative about Jerry West was when those weasels in Orlando who were listening to the local papers about whether they should pay Shaq or not, coming out with, Jerry was tampering. Other than that, you've never heard anything bad about Jerry West from anyone in the NBA. So Rob doesn't have that reputation. Bob Myers does. Jerry West does. Reputation and not being a used car salesman type like Rob helps. It helps not being that. And if you are going to be that, it's going to be much more difficult for you to get the deals that you want, because everything in this business is somewhat political, right? There's politics in it, not, state and federal politics, but there's basketball politics. And if you don't play those games, and the fact that you're a former agent, some of these guys probably have a little animosity towards them anyways. And a lot of, I know I'm not the only one. I know I know I'm not the only one that can smell his stench. I said it that first press conference when they got KCP. This guy sounds weird, but I was giving him the benefit of the doubt because I was an idiot, and sometimes I want to be positive. But yeah, it's starting to form into what it's formed into, and I guess there was a 2020 title to hang our hats on. But I don't know how much influence he had on that other than maybe signing the contracts.
Again, it's just right now, just the evaluation of the team we see as far as the overall roster building. Just
they are treating people like corporations treat people, like they're just a number. Somebody like Alex Caruso, somebody like Zubats, right? Like they traded him for nothing, right? These guys don't value people. They say they do. They don't. They don't value jack squat. They value their own pocket. They didn't care about. I'm not gonna bring back the other stuff we talked about, but they don't value people. They just don't. They say they do, but they don't. They're fake, and usually after a while you can get by being fake, but when the hardship comes, that's when that's when you get to see the true colors, and then you can see it in the Hulu the Legacy documentary. Just a nice man, and I know he kind of left on bad terms, but you look at Mitch Kupchak, and you could see he's holding back, really wanted to unleash on the Buss family, because I think he got blamed for some things that probably weren't his decision, and he got blamed for it. So that's just how it is. People are gonna get sensitive. People are gonna want to do what they want to do, and they'll take it on to the people that they can, like Alex Caruso and Taylor Horton Tucker and Zubac and all these guys that to them that they're just numbers to them. They don't care about them. They don't value the fact that they have some value in any way.
Well, again, it's just something that the team needs to address. I'm not going to disagree with Tom. They do need to make a change. And if they do go ahead and give up those picks.
The argument isn't we need a change. We all know this.
It's just what type of change.
It's what are we going to sacrifice to get that? And I'm sorry, I am not giving anyone unprotected first-round picks because for prolonging this issue with this Westbrook mistake. I can't do it. I can't, because I'm a Laker fan and I'm going to hopefully be here for another 20, 30 years. I don't want to have to look back on the 27 and 29 draft as small percentage as it could be. Us losing on a great player because we decided that, we wanted to take a chance on maybe giving a little bit of more competition for a 2022 season, 2023 season.
And then, again, I understand the prospects of LeBron wasting the season, it just being a season for LeBron just to get the scoring title. I just don't see – we're in a rock and a hard place situation. We did so well with getting the Anthony Davis trade and winning the championship. I still think we're paying the penance from it. You cannot get me off that mountain. I still think we're paying the penance of it, and we're as far as the fallout of this is, you
Not
just
from a
don't have,
draft pick standpoint. I don't
from an
really.
asset standpoint. I think you
It's.
are.
But I think that the mistakes after that are what actually put us in this position. I don't think it has anything to do with the Anthony Davis trade. It
It's
was
I didn't say it's all because of it. It's compounded upon the moves by that were made after by Rob were obviously not very good at all. I agree with you there, but I just think it's just a collective fan. But again, we won a championship for the Anthony Davis trade, and how can you fault for doing that?
No, we're talking about totally different things here. I'm not faulting the Davis trade in any way. It's still still a trade I do every day. It's what they've done after. It's the value that they threw away in maintaining that championship team. They overcorrected, undercorrected, and back to overcorrection, and then now they're in a place where they're stuck. The reason why we don't have any talent right now is because they got stuck. They had no choice. There's no money to be spent. No one can trade anything for anything at this point. In a way, this summer wasn't necessarily like they couldn't do anything this summer, even if they wanted to, without giving up valuable assets that may be important down the road. It's rock in a hard place is definitely the right term here, but I think it's more of a boulder rock than just a regular rock. It's a problem. It's a problem, and there's going to need to either be some kind of luck, which the Lakers have had a history of getting lucky. So there is still that, hopefully being lucky by somebody calling and saying, I want to go to the Lakers. Or you eat the season and just see how it develops from there. But then even, that's the part where, Tom, I can't disagree with, is if you don't bring in some contracts that have value, i.e. why they were trying to sign Schroeder to the $84 million contract. Those who don't understand, that's money that can be traded. The more money you can trade, the bigger the take you can get. That's where Tom is 100% right. But you're like, at what cost at that point even? That's the tough part.
And that's something that the Lakers will have to think about. If to get them out of this rock and a hard place, Tom may be right. You may have to give up those 2 first-round picks just to get you in a place to even be competitive. Otherwise, there's going to be many more nights like this. And even if the Lakers don't come close to winning a championship, just to get them to where they can be a competitive 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th place team, you may need to give up your entire future as far as those 27 and 29 draft picks.
And it's more important this summer because the talent available is very minimal. And I don't think the only 2 names that come to mind that are difference makers, and I know there's more, but the ones that come up to my mind is Middleton and Kyrie. Kyrie is a basket case, and Middleton, I don't think is leaving Milwaukee. So now if those guys are off the table this summer, now you definitely need contracts to trade. If someone should say, you know what, I think Bradley Beal needs to get traded, right? Now you have some money that you could trade him for. Or if Damian Lillard says, look, guys, I've been with you guys for 12 years. I want to try to go win a championship. That part, 100% agree that if Rob is to kind of fix this thing that he's created, he's got to get some kind of luck or some kind of figuring out here where he can get that kind of money available for the summer so that he can trade it. But I don't know how that could play out.
We're going to have to wait and see. But once again, the Lakers did unfortunately lose tonight on the schedule against Golden State as they picked up the rings. And as I said in the description, ring smacked the Lakers 123-109. Hopefully the things will turn around for the team. I know that we already have had a lot of people in the chat. Just amazing. Thank you so much for being on the show. Just like the last championship the Dodgers won. Golden Bear also as well. I'm going to say as far as Slim, you know what? That championship's legit. You can't take it away from us. Then you're going to have to say, we have to go back to San Antonio's incomplete season that they won. Say that's not legit. There's like 2 or 3 others you could say the same thing. Come on, guys, stop it. It was a fair thing. It was in a fair place where all these teams could compete for a championship. The Lakers prevailed on it. You got to give them credit, and they won a championship. Just count it. It is legit. And just like the Dodgers, they won the championship. It was legit. So
well, you can name several seasons. The 2012 Miami Heat only played 66 games.
Yeah.
The Washington Redskins won a championship in '82 and in '87. Both years were strike seasons. Matter of fact, Mark Mosley, the kicker for the Washington Redskins, was the MVP of 1982. The only time you'll ever see a kicker win an MVP. This people who say things like that are just saying it just to dig on anything. They even crapped on LeBron in 13. Oh, well, that was the Ray Allen shot.
They always talk about how LeBron and AD got 3 or 4 months rest. Yes, but so did everyone else.
Yeah. Well, again, it's a stupid argument. Everybody played within the same rules. If they don't, if one team wasn't playing with the same rules, I'd say okay. But everybody played with the same rules. Everybody knew
the only championship I would say is the Astros championship, and we all know why.
Well, that's because they cheated. Yeah, obviously that's a different story. But I don't. At some point, you just shut that off and just say, "All right, I'm going on to the next subject." It's become a waste of my brain activity. I don't really care. You don't want to believe that the 2020 Lakers championship is legit? Then go to freaking crypto and go see the banner. See if that looks real to you. If it doesn't look real to you, you're a moron.
Again, we're not trying to pick fights with our chat room.
I am.
It is. Yeah, I know you are. But I will say again, it's legit. You just got to deal with it and move on. I'm sorry. It's the fact that we have 17. Boston has 17. But Boston's start looks a lot better than the Lakers, unfortunately, right now. Richard says the 1999 Spurs. Everybody can come up with a year or a championship. I mean, if you want to really go back with the Lakers, people always talk about the Tim Donaghy year for the Lakers. As far as him fixing it for the Lakers, I hear about that as far as against the Kings.
No one talks about Game 5 of that series and how that game was fixed.
Yeah,
I remember watching Bobby Jackson pull Kobe's jersey out of his freaking shorts on his last shot in Game 5 and not get a call. How does that happen? How do you not call a foul on a guy pulling a jersey? You know how tight and long those jerseys are to be able to pull it out and not call a foul on it. No, it's again, everybody sees it with their own little rose glasses. But sometimes it's fun when you're at a party and you're talking smack. But when you're talking about serious stuff, at some point it gets kind of old, and it's like, okay, well. Next subject. I don't have time to talk about this anymore.
No worries. Yeah, because it's not getting any better for us here. We're going to go ahead and then probably shut it down. We just, we're having great numbers, and we cannot thank you enough. But I will tell you what, I've already reached out to Sean Grice, the madman from Toronto, the Magic Man. We will go on the air tomorrow with a special episode in between, as far as the 2 game episodes from tonight and Thursday upcoming, as far as our post game is concerned. We will go on the air tomorrow to talk more about this game, as far as some of the things the Lakers maybe can work on, some of the things that may change for Lakers, the aftermath, the fallout, obviously is still growing strong. In fact, you guys have been tremendous. Thank you so much to everybody in the chat. Jim Faison says, I like it when Joe takes the gloves off. He holds no punches when it comes to our favorite teams. Go Big Joe. Kyrie said, how did Rob get extended? If you take a look back at last week when I go ahead, that's the exact title of my episode. Rob got extended? Question mark. This should be a make or break year for him. Exactly. What was the rush? Who were you competing against to go ahead and give him that extra year? Tom, can you explain this to me?
What do you mean?
As far as why they needed to go
Good
ahead
answer.
and give him that extra year now before the season started. Why couldn't you just evaluate him? As I said at the time, why couldn't you just evaluate his performance on the performance of the team before you go ahead and say, you know what, we're going to give you an extra year on top of your contract?
You're talking about Pelinka?
Yes, I'm talking about that dude.
About LeBron?
No, not LeBron. Pelinka getting the.
Pelinka's not an extra year. It wasn't an extra year. It was an extra 4 years, 3 years.
No, it was an extra year. No, he got an extra year added on. It was just 1 year added on.
He already had 1 year. You sure?
It was just 1 year. I'm sure. Believe me. It gave me. I remember
Well,
the
I mean,
indigestion I had
the
last
obvious
week.
reason
Tom.
that Jeannie said, which makes sense, is that to put the general manager and the head coach on the same length of contracts. Um, you know,
I remember that indigestion I had last week, Tom. I
yeah, you
remember it
know, I
very
mean,
well.
listen, what Jeannie's trying to do, obviously, even though she's not saying it, is she's trying to bolster up who she thought was the right person by the program and making them more legitimate by giving them an extension for another year. So they matched up with the coach and there wouldn't be any of that whole situation. This was the general manager. He chose the coach. They're both tied up for the same period of time.
Yeah.
And they did that ahead of time before they even hired Darvin Ham. So they already knew that they were going to probably give the new coach a 4-year contract. So, you know, it's Jeannie basically saying, I'm right, and the rest of you Laker fans are all crazy. You know, Rob is the best general manager around here. He's Kobe. As long as he's Kobe, he can't do anything wrong.
Wow.
And that's where we are, folks, like it or not.
So we should just add denial to her tag, right? Denial.
Well, no, she's
What do they call her now? A governor?
well,
Yes,
the person that's appointed by each franchise to represent them.
When was she
at
elected
meetings
governor?
Is the governor. She's the governor. That
again,
means that she's got 4 of the 6 bus votes, basically, to make that decision.
Well, I will say right now, again, things are going to be up for question and up for debate after tonight's performance. And we'll see that because the Lakers head home to the crypto.com arena on Thursday to face off against the Clippers, who
and basically here's the situation. Are you rooting for the Lakers really to do great? Or are you rooting for them to do terrible so that something will happen?
I don't ever vote. I don't go into games hoping they lose. Absolutely not. Even during the tank seasons, it was eating at my insides.
No, you root for certain players to play well, and and hopefully the team.
I can't. My brain doesn't allow me to think loss. Like today, when they play, my brain.
No, at the end of a game like this, what jumps out to me is always that. What is the purpose of playing another game like this? What's the purpose of playing 20 of these games? Are we going to learn anything differently that we don't already know? Now, we might learn that AD and LeBron can stay healthy for 20 games. That's something I'd like to know that. That would make me more prone to wanting to make a trade if I saw that AD and LeBron were playing well. If AD and LeBron play like crap, then I might take the attitude that, well, maybe we ought to write off this year. Maybe we ought to see what we can get for LeBron or AD at the trade deadline. But do you really expect to find anything totally different? You don't expect to find, nobody's going to turn out to be Malik Monk all of a sudden out of nowhere. None of these guys who are minimum salary players are all of a sudden going to be guys that, boy, it's a good thing we got $20 million in cap space next summer that we can give to them. It's not going to happen, man. All we're doing is hoping that Bradley Beal will suddenly go ballistic, or Damian Lillard would suddenly go ballistic, or whoever, whatever third superstar would appeal to a genie bus. That's what we're waiting for. We're waiting for this magical Jack and the Beanstalk reward where all of a sudden these handful of beans turn into gold coins.
The system is being built to really, really spread out the talent and the ability to compete. It's starting to show. It's starting to show that the upper echelon teams are not going to rule anymore. It's going to be a little bit of a unknown.
I don't know, man. Here's the thing about it that you got to realize. Teams like the Warriors, the Clippers, and the Nets, what they do is they're putting out right now probably around $500 million worth of luxury taxes. You know who gets those luxury taxes? All of those small market piece of crap little cities that can't really make a big stay, that nobody's going to go as a free agent. Nobody's going to
Oh,
go to the Magic as a free agent. Nobody's going to go to, Orlando as a free agent, or any of these towns.
I like Disney World.
Well, that's simple. That's
Yeah, but no one wants to live in
Disney World.
Orlando.
That's one thing. But all of these small market teams, they're going to think twice about wanting to do anything about luxury taxes, because it's working perfectly as far as they're concerned, because they're raping up a huge profit. This is going to be the biggest year for the small market teams have ever had, because of all of these. Every one of these guys, and they see Wiggins sign up. Oh man, that's great. 109 million. Oh, 140 million for Poole. Wow, go for it. Can't you do something for Draymond, please? These guys are just looking at this and thinking all of this money is coming to us. All of those luxury taxes. The Warriors are going to pay over $500 million in payroll and luxury taxes next year.
That's
Over
if they
$500
sign
million.
Draymond, which I don't think they will.
No,
If they keep that team.
Draymond exercises his $27 million option.
I think he's a
Player
goner.
option.
I still, no matter how rich you are, half a bill in just taxes is a. I don't know
Well, I
if that'll
mean,
work.
can you imagine can you imagine the amount of taxes attached to? Let's say that we add Pools in there, and then, we had the other guy. You got 109 million and 140 million. That 140 million probably has $200 million in luxury taxes associated with it. I mean, the number is ridiculous. It's like they're playing pool $300 million a year.
Well, I guess if they go ahead and they continue on,
If
as
they
a
don't trade
championship
one of
team,
those guys,
that's what
somebody's cap space at the end of the year.
If it does collapse, then you would see a Golden State fire sale. But if you don't, then they are willing to go ahead and choke in that kind of money. That's something I think the Lakers won't do.
They've
right
already
now.
said they're willing to do it. They did not sign. I mean, I've seen a couple of articles talking about rumors that Poole or Wiggins might be traded, but generally that's not what Myers has said. Myers has said,
if they play like this, it's going to
we're
be
locking these guys up because we want to build a dynasty. It's that simple.
And if they continue to play it like it, you never know. That may happen.
And this kind of dents the LeBron era a little bit. If let's just say Golden State ends up winning another couple championships now,
unless the luck of the Lakers can somehow overcome the inadequacy of its ownership and general managers.
Well, we'll see. But
Indy calls up and says, "Okay, we'll take a pick swap for the second one."
I think Jim is agreeing with you on your assessment of the small market teams there, LakerTom. I mean, Vegas, I'm living here in Vegas, so they need one. I know that the one's going to come their way eventually, sooner or later. Seattle, of course, is still number one on their list as far as expansion teams are concerned.
Well, the amount of luxury taxes is going to be like 4 or 5 times greater than it's ever been before.
And you got to remember that if you do expand, that these teams pay a fee just for the privilege of going ahead and being part of the NBA.
And you're going to dilute the talent even more, which means we're going to have more and more lousy teams in the NBA.
Right.
Well, John,
I took all 55 games. I made a list. I made a spreadsheet of all 55 games that the Lakers play until February 9th. And I said, okay, I'm going to say that if these 9 teams, if the Lakers play them, they win. And if they play these other 11 teams, 18 teams, they lose. And I went through the whole thing and added up all of the wins and losses. And we finished like 23 and 33. It's out of 55 games. We lose 10 more games than we win.
We'll see what happens. At least your Yankees won.
Yes, the Yankees
won. So they live to fight another day.
We live to fight another day, and that's about all we're going to do, probably.
Yes, and I will say though,
the Astros have our number. So unless something special happens this year,
watch out for that those calls. Watch out for the cheating there. But once again, it's the Lakers again falling short to the Golden State Warriors this evening, 123 to 109 in a game that again, even with a late third quarter, fourth quarter, 27-12 run, the game was never really that close in the second half. The Lakers with a very porous third quarter and just could not get the job done. Truly appreciate it again. Everybody has been sensational in the chat room. This is one of our biggest crowds ever. And obviously for opening day, we were just so thankful that we got that. Hopefully this could be the start of a great season for us here, right here at the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate it. Terrence Field says, no, they can't overcome the horrible management of the Lakers, and Jeannie should be called out for the horrible job she's done as an owner/governor. Everything from drafting Lonzo Ball over Jason Tatum. Well, again, that's all up to the GM at the time to make that call. She's trusting their judgment on it. But the fact is that she's trusting those GMs to make the right call. Unfortunately, has not been able, or in that case, Magic was the one that I think that made that call on Lonzo Ball. So, yeah, just a myriad of errors right now coming back to haunt us, and it's led up to the team that we have right now. I think that right now we need to go ahead and say that the Lakers at this point do need something, do need a change, do need maybe a addition by subtraction, maybe something in place. Yes, Russell Westbrook did play well for periods of the game, but then again, there were also periods of time where Russell, unfortunately, let us down a little bit in that third quarter. He got shut down and really looked hard to go ahead and press the action, but he did overall play a somewhat effective game. But it was only him, LeBron, and AD playing a somewhat effective game, and there were others that just couldn't get the job done. Kendrick Nunn shot well, but played horrible defense. You could see it time and time again. He was like a matador. Austin Reeves, he was like a matador. I mean, the backcourt defense was
Beverly needs to really shoot a lot better than he's been shooting.
Absolutely. And he's supposed to be statistically one of the best shooters on the team. So right now we've got a lot of issues where a team that can't shoot, a team that still turns the ball over way too much, and a team that really doesn't have the height and the presence that we really need to. So there's a lot of issues. And also as well, the depth and the fact that we don't have any backup wings is very troubling. Wenyen Gabriel came in tonight, and well, let's just say he came in tonight and did the things that I've often said over the course of the past few months, is the fact that, great energy, great hustle, but that only gets you so far. Talent can only take you as far so well. But you know what? I'd rather take talent over hustle in this case. But, like I said, it's the depth of the roster and the lack of it that is going to haunt the Lakers, I think, for this season as well. But you guys have been so incredible out there. We're going to have to shut it down because, again, we could go on for like this because it seems like everybody wants to go ahead and chill out with us here at the Lakers Fast Break. It's one of our highest ratings ever, and we cannot thank you enough for being part of it. But LakerTom and Joe, I'll hit you up first, LakerTom. Any last thoughts on the way out, or what are you working on for LakerHolics.com?
Just trying to work on the calendar, just trying to get an idea of exactly where we'll be standing, at the various key points. Obviously, end of November is the first 20 games, and then there's December 15th when players that have been recently signed are eligible to be traded, and then obviously February 9th when the trade deadline hits. So that's 20 game, 27 and 55 game marks on the season, and I'm very interested in seeing exactly what the records would be for the Lakers as they go along at each of those points. So I've been sort of graphing that out and putting together an article just to show how important it is to make a move sooner rather than later.
Well, I'm hoping that something can be turned around. But again, if you want to read LakerTom's thoughts, and also Jamie Sweet. Big shout out to Jamie Sweet. Go ahead and check out his 5 Things articles and LakerTom's articles as the #1 Lakers blogger that's out there at LakerHolics.com. And Joe, can you go ahead, even on a night like this, explain why, as you, as Ox 1947, do such a great job along with everybody else that runs LakersBall.com?
There's a freedom there. We don't go overboard. Some guys can get talking about things off topic, but it's like respectful children to the parents. There's the mods, obviously, the moderators. You'll get off a tangent. You'll go into political things or social things or whatever, and all of a sudden, I'm like, all right, guys, let's talk basketball, and everybody stops. So there's not a lot of obnoxious people out there. I mean, once in a while they'll sneak in and then they'll bounce them, but the trolls.
It's so bad that actually LakerTom has turned to drinking. Do you see that, Joe? Do you see that? LakerTom has now turned to liquor.
Yes, I'm going to bring my Pepsi can in the next show.
To combat your Coke.
Every time Tom takes a drink of his Coke,
that?
every
Pepsi?
time, yeah, every time.
Is that a thing, Pepsi? I've never heard of that.
See, so guys
Pepsi.
In your era,
kind of catchy, you know.
Our Coke guys, my era is Pepsi. So every time
dog
Tom, every time Tom takes a drink of his Coke, I'm going to take a drink of Pepsi, and it's not going to be that white Pepsi or the cherry Pepsi. It's going to be
the clear Pepsi?
Regular Pepsi, huh?
The clear Pepsi.
I actually like that. I think it was 20 years ago that they had that.
Yeah, I think they brought that back.
I haven't seen it, but I think that'd be kind of funny to, I'll wear my LA hat, you wear your New York hat, you drink your Coke, I'll drink my Pepsi, and once in a while we might agree on something. And then
Yankees versus Dodgers World Series. Sorry.
No, and that's the Dodgers run their company the same way the Lakers run their company. They don't. It's an organizational problem.
I wish the Yankees would spend the money that the Dodgers spend, for Christ's
sake. Money is not the problem. The problem is analytics that don't work in the playoffs and a absolutely horrid manager that has cost his team at least two titles.
It's a stupid system to play 162 games to have the right to play a 5-game series, which can knock you out.
They've played 1-game series, 3-game series, 5-game series, 7-game series. They still lose. The excuse there is gone. There is no excuse.
Baseball's so unpredictable because of that. It's really just
and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. You should have
it's a total lottery, man. They turned it into that. Playoffs have ruined it.
Yeah, well, leave it to us to go ahead and switch up to Coke and Pepsi, and then the Dodgers to go ahead and close this thing on out.
Dogs and cats are next.
Go ahead and check out what they're doing today, each and every time out. Not only on game time, but also going ahead and around every other day, what the Lakers are talking about, what the Lakers fans are talking about at LakersBall.com. You can always find Ox 1947 just a few steps away, right there for you at LakersBall.com. It's so funny now because you see Coke as far as sugar-free and caffeine-free, and you're seeing Pepsi, this free and that free. Just say taste-free. Why don't you just say taste-free? Taste-free, because some of the stuff just tastes like just
okay, guys. Crap. It's soda. It's already bad for you. It doesn't matter if it's free, sugarless, sugar.
That's what my bladder has told me.
Just drink the real thing, okay? I like to drink I don't drink soda on its own. Very, very rarely. I like to drink it with typically a sandwich or pizza. Those are some kind of bread. Other than that, it is what it is.
It is what it is indeed. But now that we've gotten to actual soda drinking, I think it's time to head on out.
I think we should stay on a little bit longer and make Tom leave.
No, we actually finally are dropping viewers right now.
It won't take long to do that. It won't take long to do that, Joe.
Yeah, I agree with you. D-Laws, you're right. Drink water. Drink water. How about that? Some good old H2O. How about that? There you go. But once again, the Lakers do fall 123 to 109. We will be back. Sean Grice has told me he wants to go ahead and chat, and we will do so on the StreamYard, and we will stream it out to our folks on YouTube. We'll go ahead and do that. If you want to go ahead and check it out, the action will start tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. We'll go ahead and chat for an hour there. And then, of course, we will be back Thursday night after the game against the Clippers. The game is going to be starting it's a 7 o'clock time now, 7 o'clock time for the Crypto.com arena. It is on TNT. Oh, my gosh. 2 nationally televised embarrassments. Could that be on the way? I hope not. I hope this will be a lot more competitive. We'll wait and see. But we'll be after the game. Right after the game, we'll go ahead and make sure we talk about it, the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever's going on with it. We will be here for it. And I will say this, that we truly have the best chat room of any Lakers fan place, fan service, wherever. You guys have been amazing tonight. And I am truly indebted to each and every one of you for taking the time out of your day to go ahead, not just to check us out, watch, listen, but going ahead and checking out as far as your thoughts right there in the chat on YouTube. But if you haven't already, give us a subscribe. Go ahead. You can do it. It's right below Tom. Go ahead and subscribe today. We've gotten several subscriptions since we've gone on the air. A lot of people have subscribed since we've gone on the air, and we cannot thank you enough for doing so. That way you'll go ahead and get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air right here at the Lakers Fast Break. And if you have any questions for me, always at Lakers Fast Break on Twitter. You can always put in the comments on YouTube. Joe and I do get to them, and we go ahead and try and answer them as soon as possible. Plus, also, you can email me at LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com. Once again, the Lakers did lose 123-109. Water is boring. G will never pay off their debt like the U.S. Oh, my gosh. What can we do right there? What can we do? But it's been a great time tonight. Otherwise, in a very much dismal outing for the Lakers, we did have a great conversation, not only with you out there, but with us right here. And we hope to do so again, not only tomorrow, but after the game on Thursday. Want to thank you again for taking time out of your day to checking us out right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. Have a great evening, everybody. And